In the remote silence of a mountain range, a plane vanished from radar on a clear day. Engines silenced, metal twisted against unforgiving rock and ice. Among dozens of passengers, only one man emerged from the wreckage alive. His survival was a mystery, a miracle whispered about in rescue circles, a story that remained hidden until now. What he found amid the debris didn't just save himself, it sparked a chain of events that would save hundreds more lives. This man was not a trained mountaineer or survival expert. He was an ordinary passenger, caught in an extraordinary disaster. The crash left him alone, miles from civilization, in freezing temperatures, climbing well below zero at night. In the mountains, where the air thins and the cold seeps deep into the bones, survival is measured by hours, not days. Yet he endured for nearly a full week before rescue teams found him. Imagine the weight of that isolation. Try going without shelter in a cold winter night. He faced that every night. Without water, the human body can only last about 3 days. Food can stretch survival longer, but the cold demands energy, burning what little reserves are left. This man's story is not just about endurance, it's about discovery. What was it that kept him alive when all hope seemed lost? His name was never meant to be public. We'll call him the survivor. After the crash, disoriented and injured, he stumbled through the wreckage. Among the debris, he found something unexpected: a compact, battery-powered radio transmitter, likely left activated by a quick-thinking flight attendant before the crash. This device became his lifeline. Could you survive a week with nothing but a faint signal and bitter cold? The survivor did. He used the radio to send distress signals, tapping a Morse code pattern he barely remembered. Each transmission was a thread of hope, stretching across the mountains, reaching rescuers who were combing the area. Without this, search teams might never have narrowed their efforts to the exact crash site. In the days that followed, the survivor battled more than just cold and hunger. Injuries from the crash slowed him, but nature posed its own threats. Snowstorms rolled in, masking the wreckage beneath fresh layers of ice. His only shelter was the twisted fuselage, a jagged cave carved by disaster. Inside, he found remnants of food and water, but these were limited and contaminated. He rationed carefully, knowing each bite and sip mattered. The human body can survive roughly 3 weeks without food, but only days without water. The survivor scoured for melted snow, using scraps of cloth to filter impurities. He understood instinctively that hydration was his top priority. Each day was a battle against dehydration, hypothermia, and despair. Yet, amid this agony, he maintained his resolve. How long could you stay awake in a dark cave, wounded and freezing, with no certainty of rescue? The survivor's mental endurance was as remarkable as his physical will. He fought sleep during daylight hours to conserve warmth at night, balancing rest with vigilance. Psychological resilience often determines survival, and this man's mind refused to surrender. On the 3rd day, signals from his radio prompted a renewed search effort. Helicopters and ground teams converged, guided by faint blips of his Morse code distress calls. When rescuers finally reached him, they described a man gaunt but alert, his presence a testament to human tenacity and the power of hope. Medical teams later confirmed the importance of his early radio transmissions. Without those signals, search areas would have been too vast, the chances of finding him before the weather closed in exponentially lower. His discovery of the transmitter, an overlooked piece of equipment, was a turning point in mountain rescue operations. This incident sparked a new protocol. Airlines and rescue agencies adopted mandatory activation of emergency transmitters designed to survive crashes and continue broadcasting. In the years that followed, dozens of lives were saved thanks to this technology, now standard in commercial aviation, all traced back to the lone survivor who found and used that radio in the shadow of death. Think of it this way: surviving a night in freezing mountains is like staying in a locked freezer without heat. Now multiply that by 7 days. That was his reality. And the simplest device in his hands turned into a beacon of life, not only for himself, but for many others after him. The survivor's story also reminds us of the unpredictability of chance. A random find, a moment of clarity, a faint signal. These small things can tip the balance between life and death. For every person lost in wilderness accidents, there are untold stories of those who found something unexpected that kept them going. What lessons did this man's ordeal leave behind? First, never underestimate the value of simple tools. A radio, a signaling device, or even a mirror can become a lifeline. Second, hydration and shelter are critical. Finding water and protection from elements must be the first priorities. Third, mental strength, the ability to stay calm and focused, can outlast physical pain and exhaustion. Rescue teams now train for these scenarios extensively. They know that once the initial hours pass, locating survivors depends on technology and persistence. The survivors' experience reshaped how they approach mountain rescues, emphasizing early transmission and rapid response. Yet, questions remain. Could technology improve further to prevent such disasters from turning into survival battles? How many lives are still lost because signals go unnoticed or equipment fails? The survivor's story is a success, but it also exposes vulnerabilities in emergency systems. What if the plane had crashed in a more remote location, out of reach of radio signals? Could anyone survive longer without communication? The limits of human endurance are tested every day in remote wilderness emergencies, and each case adds to our understanding, but never fully answers the question of ultimate survival. In the end, the survivor's legacy is more than his own life. The device he found, the signals he sent, and the hope he embodied have saved countless others. It is a reminder that sometimes salvation lies in the smallest things. A spark in the dark, a signal on the airwaves, a will to live against all odds. Every day I uncover true survival facts, stories that warn you and stories that inspire. Subscribe so you don't miss the next investigation, and leave a comment. It helps this channel survive. Stay curious. See you tomorrow.